Hi, I'm Benjamin Grosvenor, and I'm really looking forward to performing Beethoven's Piano Concerto No.1 at the Southbank Centre with the 4th Philharmonic Orchestra and Vasily Petrenko on the 3rd of February 2026. I first heard Beethoven's Piano Concerto No.1 in my early teens, and I was immediately captivated with the piece. I learned to play it around the time I turned 20, I guess, and immediately such a satisfying piece to play and to perform with orchestra, and it's one that's become an old friend that I'm instruments and the orchestra and the piano. And it's a piece written by a young Beethoven trying to establish himself on the scene in Vienna and showing off his talents as a composer as well as a pianist, because he played it himself at the first performances. The outer movements of this piece are so joyous and filled with such humour. There's this kind of exuberance, this larger-than-life energy that springs off the page. And yet the second movement is so tender and confiding. There's these beautiful operatic lines in the piano and the tender dialogue between the piano and the orchestra, particularly the clarinet. And usually Beethoven takes the oboe and the flute out of the second movement, and the clarinet becomes, as the movement progresses, as well. I think from the very beginning of this concerto, you see Beethoven trying to establish his own individual voice and to subvert the expectations of the audience at the time. He starts it in quite a humorous way, pianissimo with these soft chords. It's a very simple motive, and it becomes important throughout the piece, this knocking. You hear all the way through the first movement. And then he builds that a few bars later into the most joyous, outpouring fortissimo. And so the orchestral exposition continues. Beethoven subverts our expectations once more when it comes to the second subject, which one would normally expect to be in the dominant. He strips the G major chord down to single Gs, from which then he uses the relationship of the third. To take us quite unexpectedly to E flat major. And then he has another go at this second subject in F minor. And once more in G minor. So we don't really get it in the dominant major as one would expect in the exposition. And the next surprise is that when the piano enters, it's with a theme we haven't heard. It's almost like another character coming on the stage, and they've been completely unaware of the drama that's been taking place, and they just come on with their own thought in their head. And this is how the piano enters. Motive again. So not only is it a completely original new idea, we don't hear it again. It comes and then it disappears, and the movement continues. The last movement is an energetic rondo, allegro scherzando, and it begins like this. It's filled with such humour. There's all kinds of offbeat, unexpected accents. There's this passage in the middle which almost sounds like, I don't know, samba music. I think my favourite moment in this movement, Beethoven once again subverts our expectations. We have a virtuosic cadenza, and then a trill which one would expect to be the usual. And the orchestra enters, but instead he unexpectedly takes us to B major. For the most intimate and playful statement of the opening tune. It's a glorious moment.